Swimming's good for you, especially if you're drowning. Not only do you get a cardiovascular workout, you also don't die. 2 ticks. I said to my girlfriend, I said, you shouldn't eat before you go swimming. She said, why? I said, you look fat. I'm not being snobbish, but I think you know you're common if you're at the same school as your mum. This is a bit snobbish. Do you get annoyed by kids that can't use cutlery properly? That irritates me if they can't use cutlery properly. Oh. And that would add insult to injury, wouldn't it? If you got stabbed by some Asbo yob and they were holding the knife like a pen. I'd be fucking livid. Do it again, this time properly. Caravan holidays. Caravan holidays are a fun way of telling your kids you're poor. Most people laughing, a couple of you giving me the stink eye. Giving me a look as if to say, it's actually quite a posh caravan. It's a 6th berth and we go to Cornwall, so whatever. Just one question for you. On your holidays, do you shit in a cupboard? You just about cracked a smile, but it really took some effort. What's your name, madam? What's your name? It's not the telly. I can see you. What's your name?
Camilla.
Camilla. And what do you do, Camilla? I suppose it depends on the guy. I'm only messing about. Just you look all dressed up for this sort of show, this kind of filth. Maybe he told you, well, we're going to go and see a theatre show in the West End of London. You went, fucking brilliant. You probably didn't even say fucking. You probably went, marvellous. The West End of London, a theatre show. This will be, oh, a bit of class. And he's finally, and then you, this, and you're going, for fuck's sake. You bought the ticket, and how do you two know each other? That's your mum. Well, you don't even look like, you look as if you could be sisters. You don't look young, she looks fucking old. You let yourself go. I can't help myself. It's some sort of trap. I love the fact you've just turned around to go, does she? What have you done to yourself there? You've got a little thing on your...
I told you.
What did you do? He's got a little bandage on his face there. What have you done?
I had a growth cut out.
You had a growth cut off your face? Oh, sexy. Wow. It'll look better after. No, I like the little thing. It's very, very macho. You could make up a better story than that, I feel. There's got to be a better story than I had a growth. I had a black eye a while back. I had a black eye because I was playing tennis. I got a tennis ball in the face, so I got a black eye. Obviously, that's a shit story. So what I said to people initially was, you should see the other bloke. Fun for about half an hour. And then I hit upon this. People said, what happened to your eye? I go, you should see my wife. You can visit her, she's in hospital. See, it's all class, this, Camilla. Wife beating. Oh. Good. Well, we'll check in with you from time to time, check you're happy. Good. Whenever I'm cooking, I always make sure there are vegetarian options. They can make do, or they can fuck off. Is this racist? Do Chinese people have Guess Who? I tried that joke for the first time in a tiny little 50-seater theatre above a pub, and there was a Chinese lady front and centre, and she laughed enough that she sort of bent forward, and it looked like I'd gone, no. It's creepy. Genuinely weird. I like to think of myself as an equal opportunities offender. I like to think I offend everyone and therefore no one, because it's kind of a blanket bombing approach to offence. It's like I'm not picking on any group, and also I'm not really making any points, am I? I'm just trying to make you laugh for a couple of hours. That's my only job in this world. I'm not trying to make any points or change anyone's mind about anything. And the best defence of a joke is always, it's just a joke. I was only joking. Relax, I'm just trying to make you giggle. When you try and say something that's true, earnestly, from the heart, that's when it can fuck up much more spectacularly in your face. I've got a story about this. Do you want to hear it? Yeah. It's a story about PC blowing up in a friend's face. So this mate of mine, it's quite a long story, which is unusual for me, but it's a doozy, you'll enjoy it. This mate of mine runs a comedy club, okay, at a university. He's in his mid-60s now, he's been running it since the early 80s, it's a legendary club. Anyway, runs this thing, he's quite a right-on kind of guy. If there's a petition to sign, he's signing it and forwarding the email to me. If there's a march to go on, he's on the march. Very right-on, political, involved kind of guy. Anyway, he runs this comedy club. This incident happened about 12 years ago. He decided to put on a night of American stand-up comedy. There happened to be 3 American stand-ups in London the same weekend, okay? So he decided, well, instead of just booking one of them, I'll book all 3 of them. We'll make it like a themed evening, like the 4th of July. We'll get hot dogs and Budweiser and what have you. It'll be fun. So everyone comes to the evening. There's like 300 people in the club, and he's all excited about it. The first act goes up on stage. He's a black American stand-up out of New York City, and he does what I would refer to as an Uncle Tom routine. If you're not familiar with the terminology, that means he did a racist routine. All his jokes were based on negative, racist stereotypes. He got away with it. He was a very charismatic performer. He was very handsome, but the material was, it was terrible. I mean, it was like, at best, it was white guys drive like this and black guys drive like this. Nonsense, ill-observed nonsense. At worst, it was stuff that would make your skin crawl, okay? He totally got away with it that night. He got a big round of applause at the end of about half an hour set, and he walked back to the green room at the club, and my mate went in after him, and he went up to him, and he said, I want a word. You'll get paid for tonight's gig, there's no problem with that, but you would not be welcome back at my club telling those kind of jokes. I think it's racist, I think it's wrong. I don't think it's okay for you to tell racist jokes just because you're a black guy. I think, if anything, you should know better. I think it denigrates the struggle of the African-American people, and you can never say that no one's told you so, because I'm telling you so right now. It's racist and it's wrong. And the comedian went, I agree. When you're right, you're right. But I'm the other black comic. I haven't been on yet. If you eat a lot of spicy food, you can damage your sense of taste. When I was in India last year, I was listening to a lot of Michael Bolton. I'd like to end this evening by talking about heckling. I like a bit of heckling. It's great fun when people have come to see your show and they feel they can join it. It's like everyone's friends. It's great. But when you start out in this business, oh my God, it can be cruel. I've got a friend that was doing a support act. And obviously, if you're doing a support act, people haven't paid to see you, they're paid to see someone else, and you're sort of getting in their way. This friend of mine, he's a very funny boy, he was supporting a very famous comedian in Oxford. And someone from the back of the room, as he was halfway through his act, and he was struggling, fair enough, but he didn't need this. Halfway through his act, someone shouted, "You're ruining our evening." Fucking hell. It happens to me all the time. Happened a couple of weeks ago. A guy sitting where you're sitting there, sir, front and centre, his phone went off. Now, everyone's got a mobile phone. Someone's going to leave it on by mistake. It's not the end of the world. Just switch it off. Not a problem. He took the call. So there's me and 2,000 people going, what the fuck is this guy on? He totally confidently, he went, I'm at a comedy show. And then there was a pause and he went, not really. Not really. I'll leave you with this. It has been a pleasure talking to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll leave you with this. This is the harshest heckle I've ever had to deal with. I was doing a gig in Edinburgh at Leighton Live. It doesn't start till 1 o'clock in the morning, so they're all out of their minds on heroin and shortbread. Okay, so it's a late night gig. Everyone's drunk and high and out of their minds. And it's all going quite well. I'm about 10 minutes into the gig. And, you know, doing my usual thing. It's about 8 years ago. I was pretty new to this game. And this guy from the side shouts very clearly, loudly, confidently, just as I'm halfway through a joke, "My mum died of cancer." I thought, shit the bed, what the fuck? I thought, well, I'll deal with this logically and in order. I said, well, firstly, I wasn't talking about mums, and secondly, I wasn't talking about cancer. And he came back with the epically harsh, "No, but it was funnier than this." I had this amazing cab driver. He was driving a black cab. He was whistling, yeah, smiling, clearly having a brilliant time. He said, "I love my job. I'm my own boss. Nobody tells me what to do." I said, "Left here." I got into an argument with my girlfriend. She said, "You treat this house like a hotel." I said, "I have never snorted cocaine off a hooker's tits in this house." Told my girlfriend the top she was wearing was too revealing. Said Jimmy sometimes cries after sex. We got into a row. You'll be familiar with this. If you're in a long-term relationship, this is the kind of scenario for a row that I think happens a lot. We got into a fight on the way back from a party. So we went to this amazing party. It's about 2:30 in the morning. We're driving home. So I'm driving. I haven't had anything to drink, stone cold sober, driving. She's had quite a lot to drink. I mean, in terms of units of alcohol, she's had an awful lot to drink. But she's not drunk. And I know she's not drunk. I know she isn't drunk because she told me she wasn't drunk 400 fucking times. You know, like sober people don't. Anyway, the worst thing about this argument, I didn't even say anything. Someone else said something, and she was talking about that, and I just agreed with the fact that the other person said. And it was a fact. It wasn't a point for debate. It was a fact. So I was driving along, right? She's talking a lot. I'm listening a little. Okay, my bad. But she's telling me about the evening in real time. And I was there for most of it, so I don't need to be hearing this. A lot of the stories involve me. Right, so we're driving along, she tells me the story, and she got to the point, she said, this mutual friend of ours, this girl that we both know, she said, that girl said my dress was short. I went, yeah, it is. You're taking her side? Why don't you go back to the party? Why don't you drive her home? It was short. I mean, it was a really short, it was what I would call a greyhound. You call it a greyhound? It was just an inch away from the hair. Really short skirt, so like I went, it is short, yeah. She went, oh, you're taking her side? Why don't you go back to the party and drive her home then if you fancy her so much? Trying to undermine me, you're saying I've got fat legs? Suddenly fucking Chewbacca's in the car. You never fucking fancy me anymore, you know what the fuck, there's just snot and Next thing I know, like within 20 seconds, she's pulling on the car door. We're doing 40 miles an hour, middle of nowhere, 2:30 in the morning. She's going, I'll walk home, trying to open the car door. She's not wearing a seatbelt because she's pissed. Opening the car door, safer. Opening the car door, I have to stop the car. Because it's dangerous, right? So as soon as I stop the car, she fucks off out, immediately. Teetering on heels up the road. No coat, no money, no keys, no idea where she's fucking going. I'll walk home, you don't even fucking care, I'll fucking walk home. So I have to do the dutiful boyfriend thing of driving along at 4 fucking miles an hour. Come on, get back in the car. It's all my fault. It's not my fault, I've done fuck all here. Come on, get back in the car, I'll buy you chips. Please just get back in the car. Anyway, long story short, I got arrested for curb crawling. I don't know about you, but I think the best thing about a big, passionate argument is tumbling into bed together afterwards and lying in cold, grim silence until dawn. Are you asleep? I can't sleep. I'm too full of hate. Do you get this? Do you get the super patronising warning from the waiter about the hot plate? Do you get that when you go out for a meal? Yeah. It arrives and the waiter goes, be careful, the plate's very hot. You think, yeah, I'm a grown-up, I think I can operate a plate. Also, I can't help but notice, Mr. patronising waiter, you just put it down with your hand. But it's too hot for my little fingers. I'll tell you what, Mr. patronising waiter, shall we see if it's hot? Shall we? Ah! It's really hot. I don't want to be a dick, but you should have said. My own mum thought I was gay. When I was 19, my mum was convinced I was gay. It's very difficult to convince your mum you're not gay. Until we got a camcorder, I was fucked. But I'm what's referred to as a gay-friendly act. You know? I'm a gay-friendly act. I was asked last November to judge Mr. Gay UK. I said it would be my pleasure. He's against nature and against God, and he's going to hell. I think it's okay to tell that joke because it's almost impossible to offend a homosexual man. You know, because let's face it, they're doing that for fun. If your idea of a good time is a cock in your ass, what do you care? We've all thought about gay sex, though, haven't we? You've thought about gay sex, haven't you, sir? No.
You haven't thought about gay sex. You just leapt in there and fucked him. Well, I admire your honesty, sir, and your bravery. I thought about gay sex. I thought, oh, my cock would get covered in poo. You're sniggering. What's your name, blonde lady? Who... Move along? What are you saying, Vicky? Dance for me, monkey boy? Is he your fella? Well, what do you mean? He's either your fella or he isn't. Is he your fella? Yeah. Sorry, she's saying yes, and you're saying no, and you've gone really red and you look really embarrassed. They're fuck buddies. Oh! I see. What? How very modern. How very 2005. So you're not going out with each other, but you are fuck buddies. That is fantastic. Can we just all take a moment to, congratulate that man there? A lot of work has gone into that. A lot of work has gone into that. He's had to buy a Cosmopolitan for a couple of years. Sorry?
My parents are going to watch this.
And they'll know that you're a dirty little hussy. The great thing about that is that he's convinced you that, yeah, we don't need a relationship. It's so old-fashioned. I should be able to sleep with whoever I want to sleep with. And so should you, as long as it's just me. When I say...
There must be something else going on.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of jokes. It's not every day I get to talk to a slag. Come on. Now, I don't know where the mark is until I overstep it. That's my... You just did. That is juvenile. Sorry, for those of you that didn't see that, it'll be on the DVD. Available at all good car boots. Vicky's response to that, yeah, she's been called a slag at a show. That's not good in anyone's book, and I apologise for that unreservedly. But did you really need to do that? God bless you.
I do a lot of gigs for people less fortunate than me. Only last week I was in Stoke. For those of you that don't know, it's sort of the English equivalent of Dundee. Are there people in from Dundee? Oh, there's some girls in from Dundee. That's good, because I've got money for chips and I wouldn't mind sex. I like the fact the girls from Dundee applauded that. Just yeah, you're going, yeah, fuck chips. Ooh. Should I do my impression of me seducing a girl from Dundee? That's all you need. Oh. Fucking marvellous.
Right, what should we do here? Well, very much your decision. I wrote a letter to Stephen Hawking. Would you like to hear it? Yes. Fine. On your own heads be it. Okay, it's to Stephen Hawking in Cambridge University. Dear Professor, I know you get lots of letters asking you all sorts of things about the nature of the universe, and I also know you don't have a lot of time on your hands to be answering all of them in great detail. But perhaps this question from my 9-year-old will inspire you a little. He is severely disabled and has similar limitations to you, but equally, he has a great spirit and refuses to give in on a world all too ready to dismiss him as a four-eyed, monotonal, voice-box, wheelchair-bound freak. Anyway, what he'd really like to know is, would you like to come over and play? Now, obviously, when you send a letter like that, you're not expecting a reply. You're certainly not expecting a phone call. But that's what I got. My younger brother Patrick answered the phone and passed it to me. He said it's Stephen Hawking's assistant. I was slightly taken aback. She was inquiring as to the name of my son. Now, the only disability my son has is, tragically, he's fictitious. But as I said, my younger brother Patrick had answered the phone, so I said Patrick. I gave a name, and then she asked about his disabilities, and I, watch a fair amount of daytime TV. I was able to cobble something together. And the reason I did that was not to sort of continue the joke. I just thought, well, she'll be embarrassed on the phone if I say it's just a silly joke. So I thought, well, I don't want to embarrass her. I'll just say it. That'll probably be the end to it. But it wasn't the end to it at all. About 2 weeks later, I received this letter, a lovely letter, and she sent me a biography of Stephen Hawking with a photo. It's not signed. And then about a week after that, I got this letter from Stephen Hawking himself. It's absolutely genuine. I'll read it to you now. Dear Patrick, my assistant, Karen, has sent me a letter from your father who tells me that you've invited me to come over and play. It's very kind of you to send me the invitation, but unfortunately I'm teaching at Caltech in Pasadena until the 1st of May. So I can't take you up on your offer. Even though I am 60, I think it's never too late to play. One of my birthday treats was to go for a balloon ride, and that was really exciting. If you're interested, contact Ian Bentley at Innovative Ballooning. There's the contact details and phone numbers. I did contact him, and he'd bought us a balloon ride. I did briefly consider crippling my younger brother to take him up on the offer. The reason I sort of share that with you, ladies and gentlemen, is because, it's all a bit clever, sending people, letters and kind of running away. But that one went horribly wrong. And I also thought it demonstrated that Stephen Hawking is not only a brilliant man, but a brilliant bloke. What a lovely thing to do. Yeah, fair enough. Having said that, responding to a letter where you yourself are described as a four-eyed monotonal, voice-box, wheelchair-bound freak, maybe not that clever.
My girlfriend wants a diamond ring, and the only reason I know that is it's pretty much all she fucking talks about. Let's face facts. The only way my girlfriend's getting a diamond ring is if the Vjazzle slips. I don't really understand the Vjazzle. I mean, I know what a Vjazzle is. I know what it is. They whip away all the hair from your foo-foo, and then they diamante it. I say they, I imagine you get some Pritt stick and glitter and have a crack yourself. Have a sparkly crack yourself. You're welcome. I just don't know who that's for. I've never met a man who said to me, oh, I love vaginas. But I wish they're a bit more zhuzhy. A few more sparkles wouldn't go amiss. I want a glamour puss, a showbiz entrance. Has anyone had a Vjazzle? She had. What motif did you go for, madam?
I was a little bit embarrassed to ask for one.
You had a heart because you were embarrassed to ask for...
Like something spectacular.
You were embarrassed to ask for something spectacular. So you were fine with someone putting glitter on your fanny, but you went, I don't want to ask for anything embarrassing. How adorable. And was it for a special occasion, or was it just...
No, I just thought, why not?
You thought, why not? Well, plenty of fucking reasons. Basic hygiene. Your boyfriend could chip a tooth. And it was definitely a proper Vjazzle, not a Liverpool Vjazzle, which is just a euphemism for herpes. Has anyone else come across a Vjazzle? He has. Not hers, I hope. Go on, what did they have?
Can't remember. It was my stag do in my...
You can't remember? It was your stag do. Oh, you can't remember anything. Sounds like a Liverpool Vjazzle to me. No, love, I don't know what happened. It's just really itchy. Fucking hell. Obviously, I could never get a Vjazzle because I don't have a vajayjay, but I would consider glitter balls. For a special occasion.
Most people that get cosmetic surgery are disappointed with the results, but they look pleasantly surprised.
Have you ever got mixed up between car booting and dogging? It's embarrassing, isn't it? I paid 50p to fuck a guy's wife. Dogging, or pay and display, as I like to call it. Or park and ride. Make-up sex is amazing after you've had an argument, but inappropriate if you've had a fight with the traffic warden. Women get annoyed when men use the last of the toilet paper. Do you get annoyed at that, ladies? Yeah. So what I've done is I've stopped wiping my arse. And still she's upset. And women, in fact, use twice as much toilet paper as men, which is fair enough. They've got double the number of bottoms. I quite like that as a term for a woman or a lady. I like the term double bum. Have you met my double bum? No, 2 bums, yes. One at the back, as is traditional. Another little fella around the front. Little fella's maybe the wrong term to use, but... I'll use it in a sentence. I was on holiday with my double bum. We were in Thailand. We were having a little bit of lunch in a cafe on the beach. She said, I'm just going to go for a pee. I'll be back in a minute. She was back almost immediately. She said I couldn't go. It was disgusting. My question is simple. Has that ever happened to a man in the history of the world? Ever? Let's face it, fellas, if we're going for a piss, it is going to happen. The gents could be a pile of rotting corpses yay high. The worst you're going to get from a bloke is you want to breathe through your mouth in there. She said a weird thing to me recently. She said she wanted to wear a blindfold during sex. I thought, well, fine. On the one hand, you want to take away one of your senses in order to heighten the other 4, in order to increase the erotic pleasure of lovemaking. Let's give that a go. Sounds fun. On the other hand, I was thinking, what you're really saying is, I will fuck you, but I'm going to have to cover my eyes. I like it when ladies get tattoos. Have any ladies in here got tattoos?
Yeah.
What have you got?
A vent.
A what?
A vent.
You've got a vent. I think that may be the crudest term I've ever heard for a vagina. I've got a vent. Well, if you're particularly gassy, I suppose. Whereabouts is this vent?
On my arm.
On your arm, you've got a vent. You have, by all accounts, got some sort of vent. Fucking go, girl. Nothing says feminine like air conditioning equipment. Nothing says I'm hot like I need a fucking vent. That's how hot I fucking am. Has anyone got one on the small of their back?
Yeah.
What have you got?
Football symbol.
A football symbol.
Yeah. Would you like to see it?
What, sorry?
So would you like to see it?
Yes, I would. Let's have a look. A football symbol. What is it?
Gaelic football.
It's Gaelic football.
Yeah. Irish football.
Right, no, I know what Gaelic football is. How come you've got that there? Did you do the whole team and you got a bonus? I don't know. It's always struck me, it's a lovely place to get a tattoo because it's discreet. When you ask a lot of ladies why they get a tattoo, they say, I got one there because it's just for me and my partner. Or partners. But my question is, if he's looking at that, he's already having a good time. The last thing he needs is more visual stimulus. What you've basically got on your lower back is a target. Having said that, I really like tattoos there, so I'm trying to convince my girlfriend to get one. I want her to either get, if you can read this, you're fucking me. Or, now wash your hands. I'd like to get a tattoo. I'm thinking about getting one just there, just across there, just above the Speedos, just above the banana hammock. Saying, caution, choking hazard. Ages 16 and up. May contain nuts. Have any of you seen my impressions? Have you seen any of my impressions before? I don't do many. I do a few. I'll do one for you now. Are there any lesbians in? Does anyone enjoy smashing pasties? Are there any lesbians? There must be some lesbians, surely. What, is there a pool tournament on? Well, where are the lesbians? You up there somewhere? Oh, there's some lesbians up there. Are there lesbians over here? Hello, girls. How are you? You all right? Very nice to have you in. The impression that I do, it's more a piece of physical theatre than an impression per se. But it's the... hang on, the cameraman's coming to get the lesbians. It's more a piece of physical theatre than an impression, but it's actually, it's the breakup of a same-sex relationship between two women. And I think it captures the emotional turmoil and the anguish when love breaks down. When you still love that person, but you're no longer in love with that person, and you've got to go your separate ways. Would you like me to perform it for you now? Okay. Just give me a second there. Oh, what did you think was going to happen? I feel duty-bound now. What's your name, madam? What? Charal. OK, fine, Charal. Sure, we'll go with Charal. And who are you with? Who's the other half? Rosie. Hi. I feel duty-bound to ask you the question I've asked every lesbian I've ever met. What would it take to get you back on solids? Oh, I got a maybe, yes. I'm 2 Bacardi Breezes away. Come on.
I saw a thing on the cover of Elle magazine. You're all familiar with Elle magazine for the ladies. It said on the cover, what to buy and how to wear it. Buy a dress and zip it up, you fucking moron. What kind of idiots are reading Elle magazine? Who's standing in a newsagent naked thinking, help? A lot of women worry about one breast being smaller than the other, but focus on the positive. One of them is bigger. And we call that one our favourite. This is interesting. There's an evolutionary reason why men love breasts. It's because prehistoric men loved breasts. Have you noticed this, ladies? All men have got obsessive-compulsive disorder when it comes to boobs. Have you noticed that? All men have got OCD when it comes to breasts. No man has ever kissed and caressed a breast, yeah? All right, not a brilliant mime, I'm sorry. That looked like I was cracking a safe whilst trying to get the temperature right in a hotel shower. Pretty multitasking. Turn on the taps, test the water. That's how I remember it. That's very much foreplay for beginners. Not ready yet. Not ready yet. Oh, like a fucking slip and slide. Bang. Sorry, I got rather sidetracked there. What I was saying was, no man has ever kissed and caressed a breast and then not done exactly the same thing for exactly the same duration of time to the other boob. It's like we think your breasts are sentient beings and they'll be annoyed if we've got a favourite. One of your tits will be sat there going, she has all the fun, does she? My partner is always saying to me, you never tell me how you feel. About 2-3 times a week she'll say that to me. She'll go, you never tell me how you feel. What is she talking about? Only yesterday, I woke her up by slapping her in the face with my cock. How much clearer can I be? This means I'm horny. Sorry, sir, we made eye contact there. I didn't mean anything by that. Are you all drinking this evening, ladies and gentlemen? Are you drinking? Yeah, quite a few of you. I like drinking. I prefer being drunk than getting drunk. I'm not very keen on beer and wine, but I like the interesting things you order when you're drunk. The drinks that no one ever orders sober. Aftershock is a prime example. You know that weird pink fluid? No one's ever ordered that. So the designated driver has never walked into a bar and thought, well, I can have one drink, can't I? They've got beer, they've got wine, they've got spirits. No. I'll have a pipette of Aftershock, please. It's the same with the Flaming Zambuka. No one's ever ordered one of those sober. And, You have? Yes. You've ordered a Flaming Zambuka sober?
It's not a drink.
It's your drink? You order Flaming Zambukas? The clue as to why you shouldn't order one, madam, is the fact it's on fire. It's the equivalent of walking into a kitchen going, I'm a bit thirsty. There's a glass and a tap, and then spotting out the corner of your eye a gas hob. The only reason I could possibly think of to order a flaming Zambuka when sober is if you meet a girl and she's something just a little bit special. Yeah? Maybe you've been out on 2 or 3 dates, you've established she's beautiful, she's intelligent, she's funny. You think you might be in love with her, you think she might be the one, but she's got a bit of a problem with facial hair on the top lip. That can be an awkward thing to bring up. Much better, I think, take her out for a drink. 2 flaming Zambukas, please. No, they're both for you. You know, and you drink flaming Zambukas as well? Whereabouts are you from?
Newcastle.
Oh, of course. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry. I was asking kind of a London audience, do you drink flaming Zambukas when sober? If I thought there were people in from Newcastle, I would have said, what do you like to drink to get you in the mood for a fight? So what, you down here on the Rob, or what are you up to?
So we send you an email saying if you wanted to go out for drinks in Newcastle, we'd show you the better sites.
The best sites in Newcastle? I imagine the one where you go... Oh. The best.
Has anyone had this recently? Has anyone made an appointment with the doctors recently? I phoned up for an appointment with my doctor and I got an appointment in 3 weeks' time. I thought, that's good, I'll either be better or dead. But then they gave me option B. They said, well, you can come down and see the locum doctor. It's not your doctor, it's just our doctor we've got down there, and if it's serious, you can come down and wait. So that's what I did. I went down to the doctor's surgery and I waited for like 4 hours. And eventually, I got called into the little treatment room with the doctor. Walked in there. Stunning looking doctor. I mean, properly 10 out of 10. Absolutely gorgeous. Exactly my type. I went, I'm embarrassed. She said, I'm a professional, you're a grown man, just tell me what the problem is. I said, okay. I think my cock tastes funny. I don't know if you got a test for that, but I've had an idea. It's weird, the gender stereotype in that joke, isn't it? Like the idea that when I say doctor, most people imagine a man. That's very odd, because we all know there's loads of female doctors, but if you're honest, when I say doctor, do you imagine a man? Yes? It's weird. And when nurse is even worse. If I say nurse, do you imagine a woman? Sounds like a slightly overactive imagination there. Oh, yes. I mean like a proper nurse, not like a stripper in a pub. When I say nurse, do you imagine a woman? Yes? But we all know there's loads of male nurses. Although it's not pronounced male, you don't call them male nurses. It's actually pronounced male nurses. Not that I don't want to offend any male nurses, or indeed your boyfriends. Just nod that one in. Good.
Now, I don't know if anyone's seen any of the other TV shows that I made. I make a show called Distraction at the moment. Has anyone seen that? Yeah. Oh, just about everyone. And one person liked it. Well, that's good. If I can entertain just one man, I'll have been shit. The Distractions is quite good. It's Channel 4's replacement to Sex in the City. Just imagine the city is Dundee and the sex is anal. You get the idea. I do another show called Your Face or Mine. Has everyone seen that? Yeah. It's quite good fun, I think. It's a fun show. It's as shallow as a Tinker's Bar. I mean, no offence, I didn't mean to... But, you know, it's quite a fun show. It's basically about couples. It's about looks in relationships. Who here thinks looks are important in a relationship? Yeah. Oh, quite a few of you being honest this evening. I sort of sit on the fence on that one. Are looks important in a relationship? Well, I mean, you don't look at the fireplace when you're poking the fire, do you? But you do when it's sucking you off, so... Are you two a couple? Do you mind me asking how on earth that happened? What were you thinking? You don't know? You do a lot better than that. You're punching way above your weight. Not just a little bit, it's a different league. Well done. Is that money or personality or low self-esteem on her part? Lovely little mix of all three. That's basically the show, Your Face or Mine. That's it, that's all we do. We string that out for half an hour, the magic of television. Although it's quite awkward sometimes because there's quite young couples on the show and, you know, they're 19 or 20 and they're talking about their looks and it can be a bit awkward sometimes. We had an incident on the show where a woman came on with a medical complaint. I'm not sure what the correct medical term is, but she had a wonky face. I'm pretty sure that's not the correct medical term, but... She wasn't an unattractive girl either. She was quite good looking, but one half of her face was a lot lower than the other. Just a bit wonky. What had happened is she'd sent in a videotape to be on the show and recorded it rather coquettishly like that. And then she turned up and gone like that, and we'd all gone like that. And obviously the producer said, well, this is, you know, it's quite a serious thing. This is a show about looks, and she's got a wonky face. We've got to at least address it for the audience. I thought, what am I going to say? What's with the wonky face, love? I didn't say that. I said, could you tell me about your face? And luckily she played along. She said, yes, there's a story behind this. When I was 11, I had a skiing accident. I was skiing down the side of a hill, and I skied into the side of a chalet. And I broke my leg and my arm and my jawbone and my cheekbone and my eye socket, and I had to be airlifted to hospital. And I said, at least you got to go in a helicopter. Her face fell. Sadly, it didn't even up. That would have been rather miraculous.
A friend of mine, quite recently, a couple of months ago, got proper, old-school flashed. Guy in a Mac, at dusk, in a park, one of those. Sorry, I've added that. I don't know if he did that. You would, though, wouldn't you? You'd give it a bit of cock slap. You'd probably treat her to the windmill, wouldn't you? Who are you in? Anyway, she got proper old-school flashed, and she shouted, rape. I thought, don't give him ideas. Don't workshop it, you fucking lunatic. Has anyone in here been flashed?
Yeah.
Go on, what happened, madam? Is it a funny story or is it distressing?
I was in a club and some guy flashed me.
In a club? In a club and someone flashed you in the club?
Yeah.
Are you sure you didn't go off with a man in a club? I was kissing him, and I undid his zip and then he flashed me. Go on, what happened? Tell me the story. Middle of the dance floor, and he was throwing some shapes, and one of his was...
No, my friend told him that we were lesbians to get rid of him.
So to get rid of the guy, your friend told him you were lesbians. That's how these two started, but then they liked it, so they stuck with it. And did that work?
Oh, she said, we don't like cock. And then
She said, we don't like cock. So sorry, so someone got his cock out in the middle of the dance floor in a club, and you went, oh no, sorry, we're lesbians. You could have just told him to fuck off. You're incredibly polite. I'll make up an excuse so he doesn't feel bad. I don't want the flasher to feel rejected. How nice are you? And has anyone else been flashed? You got arrested for flashing? Well, don't take it out on me. What do you mean you got arrested for flashing?
Well, I was going for a piss.
You were going for a piss? This sounds like bullshit to me. You were going for a piss. Where were you going for a piss? Set the scene for us. I've never met anyone that's flashed. Go on. It's going for a piss in a primary school. Got in a car park, okay. In a car park outside, you're going for a piss. Caught short. Late at night, fine, okay.
Yeah, and I needed a piss, so I went up against a tree.
You went up against a tree.
Yeah.
Turned out it wasn't a tree, it was a fat girl. Go on, so you walked up to a tree to take a pee in a car park. This doesn't sound terrible. So far, I'm on this guy's side. Go on.
So there was a woman in the trees.
There was a woman in the trees. Sounds like you've broken dogging etiquette by pissing on someone. So you went up to take a piss on a tree, and there was a woman in the tree.
She was walking, there's a pathway.
She was walking, okay.
And it was outside a police station.
And it was outside a police station. kind of a fucking idiot are you? You went for a piss in the police station car park. Why don't you just turn yourself in? That's a cry for help if ever I heard one. Lock me up before I hurt someone. And what, did she scream? Did she complain? What happened?
No, she went into the police station and they came out and arrested me for indecent exposure.
They came out and arrested you for indecent... Is it because you're a bit ginger? Do you think they would have let you off if you hadn't been quite as... I'm sorry about these lights as well. We could well be giving you skin cancer. I think I'm on your side there. If you're taking a piss, that's not indecent exposure, is it? What do you think? Are we on this guy's side? Yeah. There's one man, no. Stop pissing outside, you crazy fool. But because there was a woman in the other night with a story. She said, oh, I got flashed. And then she told me the story, and I wasn't sure. She said, I got flashed. I said, has anyone been flashed? She went, yeah, I got flashed in Disneyland. I said, I'm all ears. She said, I was in Disneyland, Florida. I was walking in past the hotels in Disneyland and into the park, and I looked up at one of the hotels, and a guy was opening his bedroom curtains, flashed me. I said, no, he didn't. You are a peeping Tom.
You ever done this? Have you ever been driving along and you've hit a rabbit? The worst thing is the noise. That horrible, familiar sound of a hammer hitting a rabbit. 97% of all dangerous driving offences are committed by men. You know what that means? It means 3% are committed by bloody women drivers. You know who you are, you're a fucking menace. I don't think speed cameras are fair. Who's with me? Yeah. I can't see how they're fair. If I'm driving home from this gig at 12 midnight, yeah, and there's kids playing in the street, they've got bigger problems than me. Well, not anymore, they haven't, but let's say I'm driving home from this gig, 12 midnight, let's say I'm doing 40 in a 30 zone, I get flashed by one of those cameras. How is it fair that my girlfriend gets 3 points on her licence? That doesn't seem fair to me. She's already got 12 points. She's going to have to go to jail. Have you all seen that incredibly powerful commercial on television where the child morphs back to life, having been run over? Yeah. Incidentally, that's why you're not allowed to leave the scene of an accident. You missed the best bit. That advert clearly states if you're doing 40 miles an hour and you hit a child, there's an 80% chance that child will die. If you're doing 30 miles an hour, there's an 80% chance that child will live. Here's my question. Where's the ad for swerving? That advert's basically the government going, hey, watch out, there's a kid in the road. Slow down, take the edge off. But it must learn its lesson. How old did you say you were, sir?
14.
You're 14 years old. Right, and what's your name?
Sam.
Sam, right. Let's say I'm driving to you, Sam. Okay. At, I don't know, 40 miles an hour. And you run away at 10 miles an hour. It's an aggregate of 30, isn't it? Not only have you given yourself a chance of survival, you've also learnt a little something about maths. My favourite story of the last year concerned an Oxford student. He was walking home late one night and he sexually harassed a police horse. Not like that. That'd be my favourite story ever. But he was walking home late one night and he called the police horse gay. That was his crime. Now, if ever there was a victimless crime, that's it, calling a police horse gay. For a start, there's nothing the matter with being gay. Secondly, it's a horse. It can't understand. Thirdly, even if by some miracle it could understand, I think the horse would be OK with being called gay because I think a horse would be fairly sexually self-confident. I mean, for a start, it's hung like itself. But the policeman didn't let it go. No, he got off the horse, he arrested the young man, took him to the cells overnight. In the end, he was fined £70 through the courts for calling a police horse gay. I wish I'd been his lawyer. I would have got him off. Because in his defence, the horse was standing naked on all fours in the middle of the street. With a uniformed man on his back. That is quite gay. You're gay, right? Come on, you're so far in the closet, you're having adventures in Narnia. Don't get the wrong idea, I thoroughly approve. It's a lifestyle choice. The wrong choice. No, but if God didn't approve of homosexuality, you would have sent some sort of plague to wipe them out. Oh, easy. If anyone's offended, can I refer you to my earlier comments where I said I don't believe in God, and then respectfully request you fuck off? It's only a joke. Jokes are fine. Proper homophobia isn't fine. I don't like it when the tabloids are homophobic, because they're such an important part of our culture, the tabloids. When they get it wrong, it sends a very bad message. Do you remember last year when they outed a footballer? Which is a terrible thing to do anyway. They outed this footballer, and in the course of the article, where they outed this guy as a homosexual, they described consensual oral sex between two adults, yeah? So two fellas sucking each other off. They described that as a prank. How demeaning to homosexuals is that? To have that act of lovemaking described as a prank. And it also doesn't work from the other point of view, because I like to think of myself as something of a prankster. But I don't think I've ever said, gotcha! Don't forget the balls. Bless you. You really do care. Whereabouts are you from, sir? You're from New York. What are you doing over here? Do you mind me asking? You do something? You moved here for work? Yeah. What sort of work do you do? I mean, I'm not suggesting I need to see your papers, but... What are you bringing to the party?
Finance, IT.
Finance and IT? I can't really think what that is. Is that cash points? Hang on, you're looking at ATMs. It's our language, you fucking ruined it. Yeah. Next time you have a fight with someone, stop getting us involved. You're getting blamed for everything. Go on, you can...
If it weren't for us, we'd be speaking German.
Sorry, if it wasn't for you, we'd be speaking German. How little do you know about our language abilities? There's no way we'd have picked it up in 60 years.
It's very difficult to get dirty talk right. Have you noticed this? It's very difficult to get dirty talk right. Like in a long-term relationship, it's fine, because you know where your boundaries are, you know your partner. But on a one-night stand, fraught with danger. I've got a story concerning a friend of mine. He's quite good at pulling. We were all at a party together, and he pulled a girl that none of us knew. Ended up back at her place that night having sex. Well done him, high five. So he told us the story the next day. He said she started it. They were having sex. She said, talk dirty to me. Or more accurately, talk dirty to me. So from the Rolodex of filth in his head, he came forth with this. And this would be fine for many of the ladies here. Within the confines of the bedroom, within the boudoir, this would be an okay thing to say. With a long-term, loving, trusting partner. On a one-night stand, maybe not. He said, you love it, you slut. She said, I'm not a slut. And there was a very awkward moment. Awkward as moments can be when you've just insulted someone you're balls deep in. He apologized profusely, needless to say, and they moved on. I imagine there's a story there, madam. Well, you know how when you've got a phrase you're not meant to say, it's all you can think to say? It's on the tip of your tongue. So like 2 minutes later, right, my friend, he somehow lost track of what he wasn't meant to say, says it again. You love it, you slut. She said, I'm not a slut. And he got into an argument with her. He didn't mean to. It was like a reflex. When she said, I'm not a slut for the second time, he went, well, we have just met. She said, you don't know me. He said, well, that just proves my point.
You going to McDonald's? You might go in there later on. You might need a poo. Have you noticed how underneath McDonald's it still says restaurant? Who's that for? Who doesn't know what McDonald's do? And also, restaurant. Is it a restaurant? Really? You guys are a couple, right? How long have you been together? A year and a bit. OK, so long-term relationship, a year and a bit, you've been together. How annoyed would you be, madam, on a scale between 1 and fucking very, if next Valentine's he said to you, yeah, I booked a restaurant, yeah. Yeah, I spoke to the maitre d'. Yeah. Ronald, I think his name was.
He was either the maitre d' or a five-star general, because he had the whole bit, aren't he? I've organised a table for two and he recommends the filet-o-fish. You'd fucking kill him, wouldn't you? And who doesn't know what McDonald's do at this stage? You'd have to have been living underground for 25 fucking years. Was ist das? Hamburger. Schnitzel. Schnitzel for the fritzer. Oh. I got stopped outside of McDonald's. This guy said to me the other day, he said, this cheap food is only made possible by GM farming, cruelty to animals and the exploitation of workers in the third world. I said, all right, hold up. You had me at cheap food. I'm going in, there's no need for the hard sell. All that other stuff is just a bonus. I went on holiday recently, and they told me on holiday, in the hotel, that they had special stuff in the swimming pool that turns the water purple if you pee in the pool. So I didn't pee in the pool. I didn't realise they had stuff for shit. But they clearly did, because they were onto me almost immediately. I told them it was a brown shark. They were having none of it.
It's very much like, after talking to you for about an hour, it's like being at a dinner party and realising you're the only one on cocaine. You find yourself thinking, they're not a very chatty bunch. If it wasn't for me, this would be shit. I was going to tell you a story about a gig I did recently. I did a gig for Mojo magazine. It's a big, pop magazine. And did a gig, it all went well. I was doing their award show for them. They invited me on. They said, yeah, will you do our awards? I said, my pleasure, lovely. Lots of rock stars and rock chicks, be cool. There was the awards there. I was just doing sort of 10-minute stand-up to begin with. I told a slightly anti-American joke. I said, of course, in Britain, we've got eat as much as you like restaurants, whereas in America, you've got eat as much as you can. You've added that important ingredient, competition. So not only could you be enjoying a delicious meal, you could be beating a personal best. Thus, the necessity for 3 pockets on the back of your jeans, you fat fucks. And a voice from the back of the room shouted, fuck off! I thought, I presume you're American, are you? He said, yes. I said, think of it as friendly fire. He then shouted, fuck off again, but louder. I thought, well, I better deal with this. I said, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, the only reason I got into comedy and doing this kind of thing is because I thought it would be a bit of a fanny magnet. I wasn't expecting a like that. At which point, the editor of Mojo magazine, who was sitting just down here, got up and looked like he was going to come around and pull me off. Not like that. That was funny, well done. No, you go ahead. I sort of signalled to him to stop. I signalled to him to stop. I said, I'm sorry, sir, it was a cheap shot. It's a bullseye, doesn't matter. And I apologise unreservedly, sir. I did not mean to... Well, I mean, the thing was, the line got a laugh, but then there was an audible, ooh. I thought, well, who have I told to fuck off? It was a guy called Anthony Kiedis, who's the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I'd noticed on the way in that he was on the cover of Mojo magazine, and I wasn't. I thought, this is a social faux pas of epic proportions. And I thought, well, I better apologise unreservedly. I said, I am sorry. If I've caused any offence, I'm sorry. I did not mean to call you a I'm sure you're not. I'm sure you don't have the depth or the capacity to give pleasure. I'd say comfortably 4 minutes later, I was presenting him with a Lifetime Achievement Award.
I'll never forget what my granddad said to me. I shit in a bag, please kill me. Whenever I'm in the changing rooms at the gym, I'm always embarrassed by the fact my penis is so much bigger than everyone else's. But then, in fairness, it is erect.
Women usually take care of contraception within a relationship, but some men do, and they're called dads. I'm not sure about abortions being available 3 months into pregnancy. I think they should be available right the way up to GCSEs. I like the phrase performed an abortion. Do you think anyone's ever gone, ta-da? A lot of people are worried that the artificial creation of sperm in laboratories means that men are essentially obsolete now. Women don't need men anymore because they can artificially create sperm in laboratories. What do you think about that, ladies? Yeah. Luckily, they keep the artificially created sperm in jam jars. So you still need us to... I'm not sure if that's exactly how artificial insemination works. But you get the gist. There's nothing rude about gist. You're making your own jokes now. I was in Edinburgh last year. I saw a sign in a window. It said, watch batteries fitted. I thought it was probably not the best show on. There's a sign up in my street saying the priorities of the traffic lights have changed. There's another sign saying, children, please drive carefully. I was driving on the motorway, I saw a sign on the back of a truck, a little sticker, said, how am I driving? I thought, well, if you don't know... I've got a sticker on the back of my car, it says, keep your distance. I just need a little space right now. It's not you, it's me. You've got a question?
No, I've got one of those, right?
You've got one of those?
In the curry house near where I live.
Yeah.
Try one of our curries, you'll never get better.
That is fucking brilliant. Do you think they mean it to be like that? Sorry, I don't know if everyone heard. It was the, in the curry house near you live. It says, try one of our curries, you'll never get better. That is fantastic. I saw a sign in the park. It said, remove dog nuisance, so I shot a poodle. I was in Australia. I saw a sign that said, convenience store, 75 miles. No, I'm not even going that way. My favourite road sign of all time, it's a red triangle, and it says underneath, falling rocks, and inside there's pictures of falling rocks. What am I meant to do with that information? It may as well just say random accidents ahead. Life's a lottery, be lucky. I was by the seaside recently, and I was thinking about rising sea levels. And this guy next to me was throwing stones into the water. I thought, well, that's not helping. If anything, you're making matters worse. Well, thanks very much. I always feel slightly guilty at the beginning of a show because you've all clapped and whooped. I've done nothing so far. I just walked from over there. It was easy. Anyone could have done it. You could have done it. Maybe not you, but most people could have done it. I always feel quite guilty because you've given so much, I've done so little. What if I'm shit? Don't panic, I'm not. Close to comedy genius. The Guardian. It's a newspaper for teachers, I don't expect you to understand. I am Jimmy Carr, off the telly. I know that because people come up to me and say, Jimmy Carr, off the telly. That tends to be less a description, more of a request. Fine.
Right, let's hear it from the men of Birmingham. Give us a shout, the men. Or specifically, give me a shout, the heterosexual men of Birmingham. Same voice is just a little bit lower because you've got. Have you had the conversation, the pub conversation, the classic pub conversation? If you had to sleep with a man, who would it be? Have you had that conversation? You had that conversation? You haven't had that conversation? I will save you the embarrassment, so I'll tell you what happens in that conversation. So you're in the pub with a mate, having a drink, talking about love and life, whatever. Out of nowhere, your mate goes, if you had to sleep with a man, who would it be? Well, I wouldn't, so it wouldn't be anyone. But if you had to, who would it be? Well, I wouldn't, so it wouldn't be anyone. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't, though, so no one. But if you had to, well, I wouldn't. But if you had to sleep with a man, who would it be? Well, I wouldn't. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't, though, so no one. But if you had to, well, I wouldn't. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't, though. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't. But if you had to, I wouldn't. If you had to, I wouldn't. If you had to sleep with a man, who would it be? I wouldn't. But if you had to, I wouldn't. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't, though. But if you had to, I wouldn't. If you had to, well... I got accused of being gay the other day. I was on stage doing a gig and I had a pink shirt on and someone accused me of being gay. I went, gay, it's a gay shirt, pink shirt, gay. I can't think of a more masculine colour for a shirt than a pink shirt, because a pink shirt shows the world you don't know how to put a wash on. What could be more masculine?
I once went out with a girl who was so fat, it felt like I was two-timing her. I'm joking, I didn't go out with her. The big problem they talk about these days is childhood obesity. They talk about that all the time, childhood obesity. And they say these kids are greedy. They're not greedy. They've just got slow metabolisms and very fast, chip-eating hands. There are 1 million obese children in Britain today. Do you realise if they all jumped up and down at the same time, they might lose a little bit of fucking weight?
Breastfeeding in public, does that annoy anyone else? Annoys me. The baby's head gets in the way. You can't see a fucking thing, can you? Now, no one likes having their parenting technique criticised, but would you agree with me that 7 is too old to be in a pram? Would you agree with that? Yeah. Would you have said anything? Because I said as much. It's a wheelchair, is it? Who's got kids? Give us a shout. Who hasn't got kids? What are you saying, happier? Which is weird, because we're not trying to get anyone to join our gang. People with kids never stop going on about it, especially when you're my age. People with kids, join us. Join us. We're so happy. You don't look happy, you look tired. Join us. Who's going to take care of you when you're old? Medical professionals. I've got to go now. I've got to have 12 hours sleep. Not even tired. Of course, the pill revolutionised the way that women control their bodies. Before its invention, our poor nanas had to take it up the wrong one. Or face falling down the stairs. In a hot bath, drunk on gin with a coat hanger chaser. My best friend's wife is having a baby, and I asked him, I said, what do you want, a boy or a girl? And he thought about it. He said, I wanted a blowjob.
Environmentalists tell us that every day an area the size of Wales is destroyed. Why is it never Wales? So are there Welsh people in this evening? You're from Wales? Well, don't worry. Do you know what the most common crime is in Wales? No. Hang on, I've got to ask someone about her foo-foo. It's a long time for a pee, you all right? You're fine? You sure? Is that better? Bless you. Sorry, I was just talking to your friend about being from Wales. Do you know what the most common crime is in Wales? Have a guess. What guess? Sheep shagging? Well, that's rather insulting, isn't it? And to add insult to injury, you're wrong. It's not sheep shagging. It's actually ram raiding. The second most common crime is having sex with a minor. If anyone's offended, just look for the other meaning. You'll be fine.
Now, listen, this isn't what the show is about at all, but I was briefly going to tell you about a thing that I'm doing at the moment. It means a lot to me, and I was just going to take a moment of your time. I've started a little charity, just a little thing of my own, and it's going great, but I didn't want to put anything up on big screens or put any leaflets out or anything in the programme. I was just going to briefly tell you what the charity that I've set up does, and then if you want to get involved, you could just Google it. But it's not really what the evening's about. The evening's just about having a laugh, but I thought I might just... Sorry, I'm wittering on now. But you could just look it up and Google it if you want to get... You know, I'm just saying, you know, because you could be proactive rather than me sort of forcing it down, because people get bored of that. OK, what we do is we send obese children to the rainforest. I don't mind you tittering, because we're already seeing fabulous results. And if you want to be part of that, it's feedthetigers.com. Their faces light up. Not the children, obviously, they're fucking petrified. Although it is quite ironically funny seeing them trying to run away. He's a bit late for cardiovascular now. You should have thought of that when you were waddling to Greg's, you fat fuck.
Let's try and lighten the mood, shall we? Let's lighten the mood a little bit. When I read about that Austrian fella, it was bound to come up, wasn't it? When I read about Joseph Fritzl building a cellar under his house to imprison his own daughter for 24 years so he could systematically torture and abuse 2 generations of his own family, here's my first thought. This is how middle class I am. My first thought was, I bet he didn't have planning permission for that. Oh, we'd all like to add some square footage, but there are some fucking rules, mate. Has anyone in here ever tried any DIY? Give us a shout if you've ever tried any kind of DIY, yes? Yeah. Most everyone's tried. Can anyone who's ever tried DIY, hand on heart, tell me they don't have a little bit of admiration for the work that Fritzl did? It's not easy building stuff, is it? It's not easy to be a tidy workman. I'm not saying I approve of what he did down there, but he built a cellar without his wife even fucking noticing. I'm just saying credit where credit is due. A round of applause for a Fritzl joke. You may be my kind of town. He was described in the Daily Express newspaper as the most evil man in Austrian history. Not even close. Hitler. Exam standards are coming down in this country. But focus on the positive. We do very well in pregnancy tests.
Right, let's try some rude stuff, see how we get along. Lady wind. Queefing. Fanny farts. The expulsion of air from the vajayjay during sexual intercourse. A grunt. There are 2 main responses when a queef occurs. Some couples, it doesn't matter how gnarly or squelchy the noise, they deny the queef. Did you hear anything? No, I didn't hear anything. And they move on. Some couples, it's a funny little noise, they have a little giggle, they move on. Not a problem. I like to go a third way. I like to pretend the vagina is talking to me. What's that? There's a boy trapped down a well. I like to think of myself as the vagina whisperer. What happened? Are you getting a phone call? There's a Scottish lady getting a phone call. I imagine the drugs are arriving any moment. You all right? You switched it off and it rang anyway? Well, I'm not buying that fucking story. Don't worry, it's okay. It's only a phone. Don't feel bad. It's a what, sorry? It's a late alarm to come and see me. Or come and see me an hour fucking late. You're not the one I booked for the interval, are you?
Do you think strippers get home after a hard day undressing and think, oh, more work? Da, 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 da. I realise that's the worst mime of a stripper. I'd love to go to a strip club where they just went like that. That's my vagina. Have a butcher's. Show's over. I've discovered, incidentally, the worst thing you can say when a stripper is performing. I was at my friend Toby's stag do, and we booked a stripper, but she fell through on the day because she was unwell. So the agency sent us a replacement. Anyway, there's 20 of us in the basement of a restaurant in West London watching this girl do some fairly grisly things, which I will come to later. And Lee turned to Harvey, and he whispered, and I don't know where he learnt to whisper, I'm guessing in a fucking helicopter. Because we all heard. He went, yeah, I heard the fit one let us down. It echoed round the room. That's how big her vagina was. She was doing some fairly horrible things. She was doing a thing with a bottle. I was disgusted. Red wine with fish? Fame is weird. I'm at a very weird level of fame now where people come up to me and say hello to me in the street. Yeah, it's very flattering, it's lovely, but then they'll insult me when they're talking to me. They'll say things like, "You're not as fat as you look on TV." What do you mean, not as fat? Well, this is my favourite. They go, "You're actually quite funny." Like they're saying, "Imagine my surprise, you're not totally fucking shit." So I'm flattered they've said hello, but then I'm angry they've insulted me. So I'm angry and flattered at the same time. Those are weird emotions to have at the same time. So I try and do the same thing back. I say, "Well, you're a super little I keep on getting mistaken for Alan Carr. So what I've done is I've stopped sucking men off. That was my hand symbol for no more cock. I don't quite know what that round of applause was for. Was that you thinking that's a very funny joke, or homosexuality is just about willpower?
I like getting a blowjob off the missus. I don't know if you get this. I don't know if you get a blowjob off my missus, but the thing I like about oral sex from my partner, I think the thing most men enjoy about oral sex from our partners, not anything sexual, ladies, it's the peace and quiet. Ladies, if you've ever been going down on a guy and he's gone, that's not your technique, that's not the sound of his sexual ecstasy. That is the sound of a man not being asked a question. I would think about adoption. I don't have kids, but if I had kids, I think I would have them adopted. People criticise Madonna, but the kid she adopted, fair trade. Have we got any dads in? Give us a shout, all the dads. Did you cry at the birth of your first child? Oh, very few of you admitting it. A lot of guys are embarrassed by the fact they cried at the birth of their first child. I think it's because they don't quite know why they cried. There's different theories. Some people think it's the biological bond with the child that you meet for the first time. But that can't be it. You're only meeting it for the first time. It's not like the mother that's been carrying inside her. That's more of a biological thing. With the guy, no. Some people think men cry at the birth of their first child because of the gift that's been bestowed on them by the woman in their life. That would make them tear up? No. I think the real reason most men cry at the birth of their first child is because they see what the little shit's done to the missus. Oh, no. Now she's got a vaginus.
Now, I'm afraid that's almost all I've got time for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. There's just one thing left that I'd like to do, which is go through some Jimmy Carr merchandise, if we could just lock the doors. I've gone for some comedy T-shirts, which I'd like to show you. They're just up here. You know, the comedy T-shirt, it's an underutilised medium, in my opinion. Hang on. What? It's a perfectly normal thing to do. Sell a bit of wear, you know, the Rolling Stones do it, why not me? This is the first one that I did. It's, I'm a stupid, what do you think? It says I'm a stupid, so you can wear it, and the person next to you... You know, it's got jimmycarr.com on the sleeve. I'm a stupid. On the back it says the National Association of Special Needs Carers. Who thought that was it? It says my girlfriend went on a UN-sponsored trip to investigate child labour in the Far East. And all I got was this lousy T-shirt. See, there's a very serious issue there. Children as young as 10 are working, you know, 80 hours a week in sweatshops in the Far East, stitching trainers. I wouldn't mind, but it's the workmanship that suffers. This one's rather predictable, but it's kind of fun as well. It's the Christian Alliance Against Bad Language. Can fuck off. Got another religious one now, but for a reason. This is the best-selling T-shirt ever in the world. Jesus loves you. It's the most popular T-shirt ever. Jesus loves you. He's not in love with you. I was going to go for he's not fussy about looks. I thought no. Incidentally, if we're all God's children, what's so special about Jesus? This is love hurts. It's a nice sentiment, isn't it? Love hurts. Sort of shows a sensitive side. Love hurts. Try a lubricated finger. This takes a little bit of explaining. It's True Love Waits is the slogan. It's the slogan of the Promise Keepers. They're an organisation in America that believe in holding on to their virginity and chastity until marriage. Britney Spears was a member. I think there's some footage of her leaving on the internet. Anyway, their slogan's True Love Waits. I thought, True Love Waits is such a lovely slogan. It deserves a T-shirt. True Love Waits. Pulls out and comes on her tits. Well, this is the last one I'm going to leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure talking to you this evening. Obviously, this is it's a lovely T-shirt. World's Best Dad. I don't know, are there any dads in? Yeah, this may be a nice thing for you to wear around the house. World's Best Dad. Nice, you wear that with pride. World's Best Dad. I fucked your mum.
Has anyone got any other questions this evening? Anything else you'd like to know? Why do I get my suit? I get all my clothes from High and Mighty. It's not to do with my size or shape, it's my attitude. This is actually a suit for an 8-year-old giant. I don't know why that's a giant. It's more like a thunderbird. You get the idea. Any other thoughts, questions? How much money am I making from this gig? Well, I'll put it in terms that you'll understand, sir. 100 money. Go on, what's wrong? What was your question?
Did you lose your virginity?
What age did I lose my virginity? It was the 20th century. No, I lost my virginity. I was 26 when I lost my virginity. Now, I realise there'll be grandmothers in Glasgow thinking, well, that can't be right. Did he not have a sister? No, I was 26, but I tell you why I was 26. Because I was Christian growing up. I had an imaginary friend that I used to talk to. I know it sounds mental now, but I did. So that was part of it, but partly I wanted it to be special. Well, not special, but consensual. And then I got to 26 and I thought, fuck it. How much is a train ticket to Dundee? Any other thoughts? What, sorry? What's my favourite song? I would say probably Sweet Caroline. Where it began, I can't begin to know it, but then I know it's growing strong. First there was spring, then spring became the summer. Who'd have known it came... Well, sorry, I could have just gone on there. Hands, touching hands, reaching out, touching you, touching me. Da, da, da. Sweet Caroline, ba, ba, ba. Good times never seem so good. I'd be inclined, ba, 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 to believe they never would. There, I'll do that. My favourite song. Yeah, do some karaoke halfway through, why not? I like that, and I also like Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot. I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny.
I've got a cautionary tale for the men in the room. This concerns, you know, the kind of ability that men have got to say something immediately. They don't think about it, just walk straight out. Oh, I didn't know I'd said it. They kind of think it and then talk at exactly the same time. This happened to two friends of mine, Dave and Susan. They've been going out for years and years and years, 10 years, since college. Susan went home for the weekend to see her parents. They had Sunday lunch together, they got a little bit tipsy over lunch. Nothing the matter with that, you would think. Lovely. All the way up to Hull to see them. Got drunk over Sunday lunch. Somehow the topic of wife swapping came up. And her parents, for a joke, said, oh, we were terrible for that back in the 70s. Oh, keys in a bowl at a party. Oh, terrible. Oh, always doing it. We don't know who your real dad is. They said that to their daughter. Now, she was fine at the time because she was drunk at a lunch. But then on the train ride home, she starts to feel a bit grimy and horrible and, oh. And eventually she works herself up into a real state. She thinks, well, maybe it was a joke on me. Maybe they were joking, but I was the butt of the joke. Maybe they did do that in the 70s. Maybe he's not my real dad. Oh, God. Oh, God. She got into Dave, and of course what Dave should have done is taken her in his strong, loving arms. Hey, It's just a silly joke. I'll pop the kettle on, I'll make you a cup of tea, I'll run you a bath. Shh, 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 shh. That is what he should have done. But that's not what he did. That's not what he said. What he said, without skipping a beat, I've killed an African child. But what he said, without skipping a beat, straight away, who got your mum? Let's talk about gifts, because gifts are very important when you're in a relationship. They show your partner how you feel about them. This is interesting. My girlfriend suggested last Christmas that we limit ourselves to £20 for each other's presents. But I wasn't thinking about spending that kind of money. Obviously, if you're buying gifts for a woman, it's pretty easy. Just go for the classics. You know, champagne, chocolates, flowers. Unless you're dating an alcoholic bulimic with hay fever. I buy my girlfriend flowers every week, because I really fancy the girl in the florist. I've told the girl in the florist my girlfriend's dead. I thought it was a good idea at the time. It slightly backfired. You try explaining to your other half why you got her a wreath 4 weeks in a row. Obviously, different flowers express different emotions. So, for example, red flowers say passion. Yellow flowers say love. And self-raising flower says, make me a cake. My girlfriend said recently, she said, we need some romance in our lives. So I took the hint, I booked a hotel, flowers, chocolate, champagne, petals on the bed, the full bit. Ended up having incredible sex. Of course, it turned out she wanted me to take her. What's the fucking point of that? I live with her. She'll be there when I get back. Put the kettle on, love, and fucking knackered. I'm not saying I feel cheated, but when we got together, she said to me, she said, I'm very liberal about sex. I don't care what people do, as long as they're consenting adults and no one gets hurt. There's always a catch, isn't there? No one gets hurt. Consenting. Adults. Basically, no fun. Right, some sex tips. Let's try and be grown up about this, yeah? Gentlemen, if you're having sex with a new partner for the first time, never take a run-up. I know what you like, you want to make a good first impression, but you don't want to actually leave a dent. A lot of women don't like it if you leave your socks on during sex, but I always leave one on because I don't want to get her pregnant. Some women don't like to have the lights on, but it can't be helped in my case because they come on automatically when I open the car door. And then they stay on for 20 seconds, so it is over. This isn't advice, this is more of a reminder, and it's a reminder to men in long-term relationships, because standards can slide as a relationship goes on. Just a reminder for the men in long-term relationships, it is never acceptable, yeah, to answer the phone when lovemaking. Even if you hilariously pick up by saying, I can't talk now, I'm going into a tunnel.
Apparently, one of the biggest fears is the unknown, like, I don't know. Apparently, taking the dog for a walk is a good way to find a woman. But what if you want to find a woman who's still alive? Did you read this? Did you read about this American man that's suing his ex-wife to get back the kidney he donated to her while they were married? That is taking the piss. My father always used to say to me, there's no such word as can't. I said, no, I called you a People claim to be into recycling, but you should see their faces when you rinse out a condom. I do a bit of baking. Does anyone else bake cookies and cakes and things? I do a bit of baking. My specialty is a brownie with nuts, which I call a scout. Come on, where's your sense of fun?
Do you know what you're meant to do if you're attacked by a bear? Does anyone know?
Shit on yourself.
I have a feeling that might be quite involuntary. That sounds like advice given by a forest ranger trying to kind of go, well, no, that's the procedure. I saw the bear coming at me, I thought, I suppose you could try and piss on it. Although I think if you whipped it out in front of a bear, it would think, oh, an hors d'oeuvre. Any other suggestions as to what to do if you're attacked by a bear?
Make yourself big.
Make yourself big. Yes, make yourself big. Go and grab something to eat. Work out a little. Maybe buy one of those puffer jackets. Get back to the bear as soon as you possibly can. Do you mean go like that? You're like an advert for natural selection. There's a bear coming at us, don't worry, I'll handle this. I imagine the bear would think, oh look, Monster Munch. Look, novelty food. Any other suggestions as to what to do if you're attacked by a bear? Play dead is exactly the right answer. Do you know why you're meant to play dead? It's to get used to how you're going to be in a minute. Just so there's less mess. A snake bite isn't going to kill you, unless, of course, you're allergic to cider. Well, that's a joke for the goths. Think about it, they're the ones that need cheering up. Should we talk about Gillian McKeith, the woman from You Are What You Eat, begging the question, what did you eat, the witch from Rent-A-Ghost? Some people like her, some people don't. I think she's a fucking disgrace. Because what does she do for a living? She humiliates women. She takes a middle-aged woman who's let herself go a bit. She's a bit plump, big-boned. She's not a danger to shipping. She's not hurting anyone, and she humiliates her on national television. Initially, she goes, this is what you eat in a week, you fat cow. She doesn't say fat cow, but you can see it in her beady little eyes. This is what you eat in a week. Has anyone noticed how that table of food she shows the big fat fatty is exactly the same as the one Kerry Katona shows us all in the Iceland ad? And then, the piece de resistance. Shit into this. What? Like it's the most natural thing in the world. She goes, shit into this. Then she's got the audacity, the brass neck of the woman, to go, your poo's a bit smelly. It's made of shit, Gillian. I think I may have solved this riddle. The reason that is a little bit reeky is it just fell out of her ass. It's still warm, you fucking maniac.
I do talk about sex a lot in my show. I talk about sex all the time on stage. And a friend called me on it recently. Came to see the gig, and he went, you talk about sex all the time. Are you obsessed? I said, well, I'm not obsessed. But sex is the great universal topic for comedy. It's still quite taboo to talk about it openly in public. Everyone's interested, everyone cranes forward, and there's a lot of tension around sex. And where you find that kind of tension, that's also a great place to find laughter. So sex is a great topic for comedy. But it's difficult to stand in front of you good people and talk about sex without sounding crude. So to try and mitigate that, to try and alleviate that, this evening, if I refer to a vagina at any point, I'll be calling it a twinkle cave. As in, so there I was, licking out a twinkle cave, while she deep-throated my tummy banana. It's nice to be nice, isn't it? I saw a woman wearing a top, it said super dry on the front. I said, have you thought about lubricants or HRT? Maybe a little bit of Aussie charm? Are you familiar with the term Aussie charm? Just means... Australian charm, you're welcome. Very pleasing look from the ladies of London, as if to say, well, I didn't know that had a name, but yes, that does happen.
I don't know if anyone's got this. There are lots of couples in this evening. How many couples do we have? Quite a few. By show of hands. How many do we have by shouting out? Hundreds. Brilliant. I'm wondering, does anyone have this arrangement in their relationship? It's becoming ever more common now for couples to have an arrangement whereby they're totally faithful to each other, but they've got a clause whereby if one of them was to meet a certain celebrity, they would be allowed to stray. Has anyone got that going on in their relationship? Who have you got?
You!
Right. I noticed that you're sitting next to a lady. You're going to do what when you go home? She's going to kill you? Right. Or strap one on and fuck you, certainly. One or the other. Anyone else got one? You've got one. Who have you got? Jim Carrey. All right. You might be up for it. And who's your boyfriend got? Anything, I'm not bothered. What? Sorry? Anything good looking? What, bit of a change? Yeah, lovely. You can't say that. The reason I mention it is because I've got an arrangement with my girlfriend whereby if I ever get the opportunity to sleep with Kylie Minogue, she can fuck off. Are you all aware of what snowballing is, the sexual practice snowballing? Yeah. One bloke down. Who was that down there? Quite proud of that, well done. Everyone else, none the while. Okay, well, I'll explain. It says something about you. Snowballing is a sexual practice where having administered oral sex, your partner doesn't spit or swallow, so much as return to sender via a kiss. Oh, you're looking shocked and appalled as I explain that to you. Let me assure you, I found out the hard way. And it does raise an interesting moral dilemma. Should you spit or swallow? Well, if you really love yourself. So I can see some friends of mine up there, and you're explaining that to your mum. Brilliant. Oh, what a brilliant day out that will be. What a lovely drive home. So this snowballing thing. Marvellous.
Gentlemen, if you're in a long-term relationship, you'll be familiar with this conversation. It's the conversation that happens 5 minutes after you think you've gone to sleep. You know the one I mean? TV's off, lights are off, books are down, everyone's washed their teeth, you're in bed, night, night, love you, night, night. 5 minutes after that, just as you're drifting off into sleep, the most insecure voice you've ever heard in your life, out of the darkness, if we broke up, would we still be friends? I said, what do you mean, still? I bought my girlfriend some lingerie. It was her birthday, and she'd hinted at the stuff she wanted. So I went to, I think it was Agent Provocateur, for these fancy kind of set of pants and bra and stuff. Well, quite right. So she was quite impressed. She opened it up on her birthday morning. She was really kind of into it, and she went, oh, these are beautiful, darling. But they're not my size. I said, don't worry, I've had a chat with a woman in the shop, and she says, you can have an operation. I knew I had to lose some weight in the last year. It's a very sad day for any man when his girlfriend suggests he comes on his own tits. You ever done that? Have you ever mixed up a fat person and a pregnant person? It's embarrassing, isn't it? Especially if it's a fella. I had a fat girl come up to me recently after a gig. Well, I say a fat girl. She was either fat or 18 months pregnant. She was big. Bubbly, you might say. Not with an effervescent personality that filled a room, no, shaped like a bubble. She was a comfort eater. I don't mean she was eating for emotional comfort. She was eating till she was comfortable to sit on. She wasn't a size 0, she was a shape 0. Anyway, she came up to me after that. Well, she pretty much surrounded me. And she said, you're not meant to use the term fat. I said, you're not meant to eat cake for breakfast. You're not meant to deep fry Mars bars. And gravy isn't an energy drink. And if I can't say fat, because I wasn't using fat in a judgmental way, I was just purely being descriptive on stage, I was using the word fat. Apparently I can't use the word fat now. If I can't say fat, what term does she prefer? Chunky monkey wobble slob? Fatty boom batty? Or blubbernaut? And if you're offended by any of those terms, how about a salad? I'll tell you what I'm a bit, not distressed at, but a little bit upset. The term real woman. I used to really like the term real woman. It meant a voluptuous, fuller-figured, curvy, beautiful, buxom, plump lady. You would say she's a real woman. It doesn't mean that anymore, does it? Real woman is now a euphemism for chunky monkey wobble slob. You say she's a real woman when you mean she's a really fat woman. She's dangerously close to being two women. Have you ever fucked a girl so fat you think it might count as a threesome? And I tell you when you know you're with a fat lass, when you find yourself in the throes of passion thinking, is that boob or arm? I'll give it a lick just to be sure. A lot of people think horizontal stripes make them look fat. No. What makes you look fat is being fat. The only horizontal stripes making you look fat are the ones in Viennetta, lasagna and sponge cake. I had a fat girl come up to me after a show a couple of weeks ago, a very nice girl. She said, look, I really enjoyed the jokes, but I'm a fat woman. How do you think I feel? I said, squidgy.
Is anyone married in? Who's married? Yeah? Well, what's the longest someone's been married?
2 days.
2 days? Who's been married for 2 days? You got married on?
Friday.
On Friday? Well, congratulations. Well done, you. And can I ask, is she pregnant or is this a proper one? Sorry?
Done that already.
You already have a child, and now you got married? Get out. Get out of my house! Well, that's a lovely thing. Oh, well, congratulations. Thanks for coming. Wow. You know, you've married that guy. He looks like a great guy, looks amazing, and clearly he set the bar pretty low early on. Where are we going on our honeymoon? We're going to see Jimmy Carr live. Well, well done. You know, good luck with it, is all I'm saying. Good luck. Because we all know a third of marriages end in divorce. I don't want to put a damper on things, but a third of marriages end in divorce, and they're the lucky ones. The others are dying. I'd rather go to jail than get married. I have thought this through, by the way. I'd rather go to the jail than get married. But, you know, if you murder someone, that's the worst thing you could do. You murder someone, you get a life sentence. You're out in 12 years. Hey! Whereas this, life means life. And in your average marriage, as opposed to prison, there is significantly less anal sex. See if you think this is romantic. Really, I'm asking the ladies. Do you think this is romantic? I've got a friend, she's getting married at the end of the summer, and her fiancé has designed the wedding ring. He's quite a talented artist. Picked out the diamond when he was down in South Africa. Quite a talented artist, done sketches, taken them to a jeweller in Hatton Garden who's putting the whole project together for him. That's romantic, isn't it, ladies? Yes. Yeah. I think it almost makes up for the fact that she's clearly marrying a homosexual. She's going to have an amazing ring, not much of a wedding night. I imagine it'll be something along the lines of, come to bed, darling. I'm just going to walk the dog in the park. We don't have a dog. I'll be in the park. While we're on the side, is anyone in favour of gay marriage? Who's in favour of gay marriage? Yeah. You're by Shanghai, who's in favour of gay marriage? Yes. I'll tell you why you're wrong. Gay marriage will inevitably lead to gay divorce, and that will be bitchy. Tiny little things irritate me in life. I don't know if you get this, but really quite trivial things annoy me. You know when you go into a fish and chip shop, let's say on a Friday, right? And the guy in an all too chirpy voice, it's the chirpiness that gets me, goes, as you walk in, he goes, chips will be 5 minutes. What? What do you mean the chips are going to be 5 minutes? Did you not think I was going to order chips? It's a chip shop. The clue's very much in the name. This is the one scenario you really should have been prepared for. It's like when you go into a Greggs or any high street bakery. Go into any high street bakery at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and they will say, in the same voice, wherever you go in the country, they'll go, we've run out of rolls. And then they'll explain it, they'll go, loads of people came in at lunch and had rolls. Now we've run out. Like there was nothing they could do. I sometimes get it in Starbucks. Do you go into Starbucks? I love Starbucks, I love the posh coffee. You walk in there, though, at the end of the day, and they'll go, we've turned the coffee machine off. We'll turn it back on, fuck knuckle. I didn't come in for a chat, I want a fucking coffee. I sometimes get it in department stores at the end of the day. You know, if you're in a big department store at the end of the day, you'll get, from behind the counter, quite a snooty voice. Excuse me, we're closed. You find yourself thinking, well, how did I get in here? Am I a burglar? I don't want to be a burglar.
Now, I thought what we might do this evening, Birmingham, obviously you've all come out to see the show this evening. I'm very grateful for that. I love my job. I love the fact you come out to see me live. But we're all sort of friends here, and you've bought tickets to come and see me at the show. So I tend not to get heckled in the way that I used to get heckled when I used to play the clubs. When I used to play the clubs, you were unannounced. You know, the venue was bigger than the name, so people would come along, they wouldn't be invested. If they didn't like it, they would shout rude things out. I used to love that, proper aggressive heckling. I thought, well, why don't we? Because people tend not to do it at these kind of gigs because people don't want to fuck up the evening for themselves or for anyone else. Hold your horses just 1 second. People tend, one notable exception, people tend not to want to fuck the gig up. But I thought it's quite nice, it's quite a fun thing, heckles. So why don't we have a heckle amnesty, a little 2-3 minutes where you can just fill your boots. If you've got something abusive to shout, have at it. Have you actually got Tourette's? That was so quick. Cunt, fuck bum. And fuck bum, that's such a weird thing to shout. Fuck bum. Like the rudest words you know. Fuck, cunt bum. Any other heckles? What, sorry? Peter Kay was sold out, so you had to come here. Yeah. Unlucky. I bet he wouldn't have called you a Unfortunately, I'm not Peter Kay. It's a very different kind of show. Peter's show's good too. Any other heckles? My crisps tasted rubbish. Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. I became Latino there for a second. No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. I had crisps. Did you see I had crisps? Jimmy Carr crisps. The good people at Walker's, for comic relief, they brought out a flavour of my crisps, and it was me and Al Murray and Frank Skinner and Stephen Fry. And then they made these crisps, and every packet they sold, they gave 5 pence to the starving people in Africa. And I said to them, why don't you just send them the fucking crisps? It's got to make more sense, hasn't it? Because they can't be as fussy about the flavours. If you're starving, you're fine, aren't you? Well, these are a bit... Nah, fair enough. Any other heckles? When's the comedy on? When's the comedy on? Really? What's your name, sir? What's your name? David. What's your favourite colour, David?
Blue.
Blue, okay. Seems like the fairest way to deal with you, David. There are so many things I could say. Number between 1 and 8, David.
6.
6. Okay, and you said to me, when's the comedy on? Well, it says, if you want my comeback, you'll have to scrape it off your mum's teeth. These things don't lie, David. These things don't lie. Nah, I'm kidding. She swallowed the lot. Wow. Any others? What, sorry? I've got a big nose. What are you, fucking retarded? I mean, I literally don't have a big nose. That's a weird that's like an insult you've heard someone else use. And you've gone, I got a big fucking laugh. That's going to work best with a comic with a big nose. What's your name, sir? Thomas. What do you do, Thomas? You're a student. What are you studying? Mathematics? Are you at school, Thomas? I don't know if we should continue this any further because it's starting to feel like grooming. Are you at school?
Yeah, I'm at school. You got a big nose.
I haven't. Any other heckles? Oh, what was that? That sounded good. Go on, what was that? What was it? I'm a paedophile. I was just fucking chatting to him. I've done nothing. Any others? Yes. Dad? Any other heckles? What, sorry? Posh prick. Posh prick seems a bit harsh. What's your name, sir? Miles. Miles. And you think I might be a bit posh? All right, Miles. What's your favourite colour? Blue. Seems like the fairest way to deal with this. You get some B-L-U-E. Number between 1 and 8, Miles. 4. All right. Ooh. It says if you've come as a you've won. Bit of good news. Any more for any more? Who the fuck has a side parting? You're gonna kick yourself when I tell you. Me.
Have you ever looked at a bill in a restaurant where it says service not included and thought, no, it wasn't, was it? I was staying in a hotel last week. I came down for breakfast. I said, I'll have a continental breakfast, as is my wont. The waiter said to me, what room are you in? I said, it's the dining room. When I was a kid, I was never scared of the Daleks. I used to be spooked out by the Daleks, but whenever they'd come on, I'd just go, well, if they ever came here, I'd just go upstairs. They can't get me if I go upstairs. But now when I watch Doctor Who, I'm petrified. Because of all the wheelchair access we put in everywhere. They can get anywhere they fucking like now. We're sitting ducks.
If my grandmother knew how much I spent on her funeral, she would be spinning in her ditch. When I was a kid, I didn't want to imagine my parents having sex, so I'd watch them from the wardrobe. Can closet gay agoraphobics ever come out? How can you possibly explain the concept of death to a young child? Well, you need a hammer and a hamster. He's not gone to live on a farm, has he? He's all over the fucking job.
You know that disclaimer they put at the end of films? You know the one that says the characters and the events in this film are purely fictitious? Any relation to real characters and events is purely coincidental? Yeah? Do they really need that on Lord of the Rings? Is anyone watching that thinking, this is a brilliant documentary? I might think about going to New Zealand on my holidays. But wait, no, I don't want it ruined by Saruman, he's Orc Army. Your hair? What, I'm just saying. I like the Spice Girls as much as the next man, but... I can't help noticing you've got a tattoo on your... Well, it's your boob, isn't it, really? It sort of draws the eye. What is that, exactly? It's a rose on your... As if boobs aren't fun enough as they are. She's thought, I'll tell you, I'll brighten these things up. No fella's going to like these. What do guys like? They like flowers, don't they? Yeah, I'll get a picture of a flower. Did you not think, what do you like? What kind of thing? You look like the sort of bloke that like cars and guns and tanks. Get a nice tattoo of a tank on your tip. Lovely. He could be, you know, and going, oh, is that a Sherman? Because flowers, unless he's secretly gay, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of earrings and spiky hair. Good, fine.
A great way to warm up pensioners in winter is cremation. Do you know you lose 50% of your taste buds by the time you're 75, so it is okay for your nana to live on cat food? My nana, my mum's mum, used to make me a jumper every Christmas. Did anyone else have that? She used to make me a jumper every Christmas. Much better than the ones in the shops. No. No, it isn't. I remember one year she made me this burgundy monstrosity. Sleeves way too long, and in the front she'd embroidered, "Blacks go home." I said, "I'm not wearing that. It's burgundy." And the sleeves are too long, you crazy racist hooer. Are there any couples in this evening? Give us a shout, the couples. Oh, lots of couples in tonight. This is a bit silly, I think, but for Valentine's, I got my girlfriend sex vouchers as her present. I didn't realise they were transferable. Turns out they accept them at her work. You get to the stage in a long-term relationship where you want to experiment sexually, but, you know, it can be awkward. And what if she finds out? I'm 10 years into a relationship now. Anyone beat that? Anyone longer than 10 years? Yes. What's the longest we got in the room? 13. 13? 26. Anyone more than 26? 28? More than 28? How long? Sorry? You've been together for 43 years? I think. Come on, 43 years. Now, I don't know what it's like after 43 years. I think that's an extraordinary commitment, especially in this day and age. That is quite something. But I don't know if it's the same for you, because I've only been together with my girl for 10 years, but things have got quite predictable in the bedroom. Now, when I lower my entire ball bag into her mouth, she is pretty much guaranteed to wake up. Same? Oh, you couldn't see that? He just went, yeah, same. You look worried on their behalf. They've been married 43 years. Don't panic. They've tried everything. What's your relationship with them? How do you know them? That's your mum and dad? Oh. That's nice. Well, I hope the image of your dad teabagging your mum hasn't... I for one... I don't know about looking your parents in the eyes again. I don't think you'll be able to drink tea. Hi. Shit, sorry. This will be hard for you to believe. I used to be a gentleman. I didn't used to talk about my sexual exploits, even with close friends. Never kiss and tell. Always just keep it private. It's private life for a reason. Private. Now, I'll talk about anything. It's great for me because it's a catharsis, but also I think it's good for everyone because you talk about things, everyone feels a bit more open and a bit more normal because, you know, there's weird things. Here's an example of an intimate detail I don't mind sharing with you. My girlfriend can't have orgasms during intercourse, but it's not a problem because I can. I gave my girlfriend an orgasm and she spat it back in my face. Well, what I'd like to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is tell you what this show is actually about. I've had an extraordinary 12 months. I've had a life-changing experience. I was a very cynical man, and I didn't really have any religion in my life, and I've let spirituality in the last 12 months, and it's been extraordinary. So this evening, what I'd really like to do is to test... I'm joking, there's no God. Grow up. Unless, of course, you're Muslim, in which case there definitely is a God. I'm not a fucking idiot. Seriously, I don't mind upsetting the Church of England. What are they going to do? Hold a fate? I'm sure there are Christians out there in the audience now thinking if I get hold of that Jimmy Carr, I'm going to bloody well forgive him. Creationists, the right-wing Christians, creationists believe every word Genesis says. I don't even think Phil Collins is a good drummer. Feminists say, and you may agree with this, you may not, feminists say, a woman's work is never done. Maybe. They got themselves organised a bit better.
Bit of an icy stare you give me there, madam. What you've got to understand is that's postmodern misogyny. That joke is in fact steeped in irony. So don't you worry your pretty little head about it, love.